What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel, check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to pose a question to the to the people who view this video. And my question is Doc Rivers overrated as a coach, right? And the reason I'm asking this is I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and he seems to think that Doc Rivers is overrated as a coach. And in my opinion, I really don't think so. I don't think that Doc Rivers is overrated as a coach. I know he did had a championship that he won in Boston with Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, who was it, Ray Allen, Rondo, and all those guys, right? And so when he was in Boston, people felt like he underachieved because they felt like, he had an opportunity to win at least two, you know. Then he had some good seasons when he was the coach in LA with the Clippers. So I don't think that is that he's a bad coach or overrated as a coach. I think like when you look at the history of coaches, and especially the great coaches, they always have like they attach themselves or they've been in a position where they've been able to attach themselves to a franchise ball player, right? And then they would stay with them for they would have careers together and try to build a dynasty. And so I don't think that Doc Rivers has had that opportunity. What he had in Boston with Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce was not the same situation with like Greg Popovich had with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, right? Mainly Tim Duncan. Like he had Tim Duncan throughout his career. And so they had ups and downs, but they were always together and working their way through the different the situations. And so when you have a coach who like I said, when he went to LA, who did he have? When he was with the Clippers, he had Chris Paul. What's the other guy? Chris Paul, I Jordan, and what's Blake Griffin? He had those guys, right? Lob City. None of those guys, in my opinion, were like generational type. Chris Paul was really good, but he wasn't, in my opinion, he wasn't like to the like what Kobe was to LA. Chris Paul wasn't like what Tim Duncan was to the Spurs or nothing like that. So when you as a coach, basically you're really at the whims or at the mercy of like a franchise ball player, right? And so you can't be, if you don't have a Steph Curry, then you can't really be somebody who is going to accumulate and build a dynasty like somebody like Steve Kerr, and so that's what great coaches are hoping for. Like when they get a player, get a young player, they come into the league, and then things will just take off. Like when you look at OKC, I'm not sure what the coach name in OKC, but he is, he got a young team. He got a superstar in Cade Cunningham. So that just gives him some luxuries that a coach like, and not making no excuses that a coach like Doc Rivers don't have. You got a young guy, and y'all can just they can just grow together and develop and try to turn that team into a dynasty together, right? I just don't think that Doc Rivers has had the same opportunities. Even when you look at the situation he's in now with Giannis, I think that Giannis got distracted. Giannis was trying to play and be general manager and make you know other decisions that I think players should not be able to make, right? And so that right there, in my opinion, just kind of like halted the growth of Giannis. Is that if Giannis had to just focus on being the best player that he could be, and not allow, and the team not allow Giannis to get the coaches out of there, bring his brother to the team, and make changes. They was basically jumping through hoops for Giannis, right? And so if you're a team and you feel like you got to jump through hoops for your franchise ball player and your star ball player, then that's more so of a distraction. That's like less time you are spending building a dynasty instead of like trying to make your superstar basketball player happy, right? And so that's why like right now, I think Milwaukee is probably like they if the playoffs started today, the Bucks definitely wouldn't be in it. They talking about, Giannis may want out of Milwaukee. Then he comes back. Giannis says that he posted something about what is it? Stars don't, stars attract, they don't leave or something like that, right? But it's been a whole different distractions, a whole bunch of different distractions when it comes to Milwaukee. So and I was just trying to make the point to a friend of mine that Doc Rivers' situation is definitely not the same as Pat Riley. He didn't have the luxury of having like a Magic Johnson. Um, Now, would he have been Pat Riley? Had he had the opportunity to coach Giannis from day one, because Giannis, in my opinion, is like a generational type talent. You know, Will he have been Pat Riley or Phil Jackson or Greg Popovich or Steve Kerr? I don't know, but I think that when it comes to X's and O's and how to motivate different ball players and stuff like that, I think Doc Rivers is a really good coach, and he has developed other coaches like Teron Lue comes from his coaching tree, right? And Teron Lue has a championship. I know he won the one in Cleveland with LeBron. I'm not sure who I know Sam Cassell comes from his coaching tree, right? And I think Sam Cassell would be a really good head coach. But I think basically, in my opinion, what it comes down to is these coaches getting the opportunity. Like as a coach, you want the opportunity to coach somebody like a Giannis, like from the door, from the get go. And if you don't, then you're like a mercenary. I think that your coach, you can go around to different programs and try to turn the program around and make the best of what that situation is. Like I thought when he was with the Clippers, I thought he made the best of that situation. You know, I th- yeah, I just basically thought he made the best of that situation. I don't want to go into like talking about the weaknesses and the strengths of that team, but I thought he made the best of that situation. Then he went to Boston. I thought that the team he had in Boston was better than the team that he had in the Clippers. So he made the best of that situation. They come up with a championship. Some people feel like he should have done more, but it is what it is. Now he comes to now he comes to Milwaukee, right? And they're not having the type of success that he won. And I don't think it's all his fault though. I just think that sometimes as a coach, man, like the cards that you are dealt is says a lot about, the type of success that you're gonna have. And if like people wouldn't see Steve Kerr and say, like he's a mercenary, like he goes from team to team and it's his job to try to turn a program around. They wouldn't, because Steve Kerr has basically been coaching Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and in Golden State for years. They have all those championships together. But this coach, basically is in my opinion is a mercenary, and so mercenaries don't really get the love and respect that a coach who has been in one program, building that program with a franchise ball player, they don't get that same type of respect and appreciation. So I mean, you can look at his record and you can say, well, he's lost this many games or he's allowed this, championships and playoffs to slip through his fingers and stuff like that. Yeah, that's true. But just imagine, like I said, if you have a franchise ball player and you allow and something like that happen, like you lose like a 3-2 lead in a championship or a final series, right? then you can go back to the drawing board and come back next year and redeem yourself. But if you don't have that opportunity, like some players, who does Steve Kerr and them lose to? They was up. Steve Kerr was up in a series against Cleveland, right? And Draymond Green got, suspended, and Cleveland came back and won that, and won the championship. But after that, Steve Kerr came back and they won a championship. Who did they play in when they won the championship after that? But like I said, you have to have the luxury of being able to coach a a franchise type ball player in order for you to be, you know, put in a category with those other coaches who have built dynasties. And Doc Rivers never had he never really had a franchise type ball player where as though he can, fail, then go back to the drawing board and adjust and then have a chance for success. He never been in that situation. So that's my take on it. I do not think that Doc Rivers is underrated. I mean overrated. So with that being said, man, y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.